Shake it, AC!
I love being in the studio like this. It's so much fun.
Not only is it fun, but it is so professional.
I mean, thank you all of you for showing up today. We appreciate that you spent so much money on your tickets. All the money goes to charity, so we are just thrilled to have you here today.
Cue the laugh track.
Or we can just laugh at ourselves.
Okay, which we kind of do always anyway.
We already do, yeah. So we're here to rant.
Yes, we are, and I am so rantable. Rant ready.
Rant ready, okay.
Yeah.
So you got a topic on your mind?
Yeah, so listen. Thinking about all these recent rants that we've had, right? So we've been talking about how many locations somebody has, all this sort of stuff. We've been talking about royalty, self-sufficiency. But now, I've been seeing all this buzz online about the conferences, specifically the ones that you're at, the company conferences that are for the franchisees of that particular franchisor. And I'm like, why do they go? Like oftentimes the franchisor says you have to go, but there should be some desire from the franchisees to want to go. So why? What do they get out of this?
Yeah. Well, as a franchisee, what I loved the most about conferences was the opportunity to learn from each other. And so that is definitely something I see with franchisees at franchise company conferences, that they're just so excited to get to learn from each other, talk to each other, hey, what are you guys doing about this, about that? And I think that a lot of franchisors think that they need to make this big, splashy event. And I mean, it's nice to do that. But at the end of the day, you ask them what was their highlight. And it will be something to do with collaborating with other franchisees.
Right. So that's not what I was expecting. I thought you'd say something like the open buffet and the water slide.
Well, that's what you would like.
Yes. Yeah. So there's some value.
Water slide.
Is that?
Okay.
That's what I like. What?
Yeah, and all franchise company conferences always have that.
Like on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got networking with other franchisees, right? But there's got to be other things that happen too, right? Like maybe the company's launching some big piece of software, or maybe they're going to be, investing in a new piece or changing the trajectory of the company. There's usually some hype guy there with the megaphone.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the company size, right? But definitely a great opportunity to get franchisees hyped up about things, get them bought in together. But having been a franchisee myself, one thing that it can be difficult is when the franchisor is trying to create buy-in around something in a way that seems self-serving. There are things that they can sometimes do that sounds like you feel like, oh, okay, this is very they're just trying to get us to buy in. If the franchisee feels that, it can be very ineffective. I won't quote companies or anything, but a franchise I might have been a franchisee of.
Okay.
It was a cruise, and it was Get On Board. And it was about a rebrand. And that's cool, but it felt a little bit pushy, hey, get on board with this.
Pushy. I would have thought punny.
Okay, Dad.
Okay.
So anyway, but yeah, franchisees, they want collaboration. They want to learn from each other. They want opportunities to network, but they want support in doing that. They don't necessarily have the skill set to go around and just go networking too. So to organize things that provide for that networking and collaboration are really important.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think that at these conferences then there's just an opportunity for them to also just unwind? Is it always business all the time?
No.
Maybe it's you've been working so hard. You've been in this for one franchise term, two for however it is. You've been doing it for a year, 18 months. Come and just chill with us. Just use the water slide.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really important to put that part of that kind of an event a little further into the conference, so people have had a chance to visit with each other, get to know each other, break the ice. Because if you do that too early in the conference, then they just probably go off to the room and do some work. So doing it later in the conference is a good idea. Any way that you can give them downtime, but somewhat maybe dinners where they go, if they're at a resort, maybe there's planned dinners they can sign up for. They're still going to be with other people, but usually, they start to have some fun as the night goes on, and the people that like to have that relaxing, fun time, will make sure it happens.
Right, because this is a whole different type of networking, right? The networking that I'm used to, and maybe you're used to as well, is you're trying to find different business connections. How together you could, get into a deal and grow something, right? But these are people who aren't necessarily looking to create a deal with each other, right? They're two people in the same role. Pardon me, they could be mentors for each other. They're not necessarily looking to get something from them or from each other, but they just want to network and be buddies, right?
As franchisees, it's hard to figure out sometimes what are who are the franchisees here that are going to bring me value, And so as a franchisee, I'd be looking for like, who here knows about being new in a market, for example, like when we were new in Victoria. Who here knows about what it's like to have 3 locations? Those are the people I would, or who here is really good at has figured out tips and tricks to attract and retain employees that aren't going to turn over all the time. So I think the franchisor also has an opportunity to try to highlight those people for each other and bring people together, because those are the people that are going to bring you the most value when you figure out like, and so actually what I love is when they have it on their lanyard, like they could have like what they're looking for or what they're good at, and you can like, it's a great icebreaker.
I really like pasta.
Yeah, you can do that. You do pasta the pasta. That was totally terrible. I know that. Like I was waiting for you to say something like that. And I just
genuinely really like pasta.
Yeah,
of all kinds, Italian, Asian.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's something I desire so much, is to network with people that isn't people that aren't necessarily looking for something from me, and I'm not looking for something from them. Because I like day in and day out, most of the networking events I'm at are like the traditional networking, where it's just like, let's go in there, let's hustle, let's make a deal. I'd love to just be in a place where you could just chill with people, brand new people, learn what they do, learn the different struggles they have a drink, and just rock and roll, So I think that's a huge value that a franchisor provides to a franchisee. And, without sounding so direct, be grateful for that.
Well, I think it's important for the franchisor to provide some structure to that. And that's why for example, the session that I like to facilitate at a franchise conference is a Fired Up Summit, where the franchisees have an opportunity to hear from each other about different challenges. We try to bring like a challenge to the table. Okay, getting people in the door, or getting new customers, or how do you find staff in this tight labor market, or this market where staff are leaving, they're not loyal to businesses and things like that. And then brainstorm that together so they can hear, oh, this is what you're doing, rather than having to go up to people the whole time and be like, hey, do you know how to do this? Like, then they can start to hear from each other, oh, this person's really good at this, I should go talk to them after.
Yes, agreed. But okay, so they're finding people who are going through the same struggles as they are, right? Or maybe are going through struggles that they will eventually go through. But do you think then when a franchisee goes to one of these conferences, they are aware that they can look for this stuff?
What I did as a franchisee is I asked my the home office team, my franchise business coach, hey, is there somebody here that could tell me more about this? And I found out that this woman that had 5 of the top performing stores was at the conference, and I'm like, I got to go find her and find out, like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
How are you attracting and retaining entry-level staff at minimum wage that are willing to work in a freezer and be good at customer service and be on their feet all day? How do I do that, Christine? And she would, we'd have a conversation, and then she became like a mentor for me. So I would ask, like, you gotta speak up about what you're trying. I think that's one of the biggest tips I have for franchisors, to make sure their franchisees know to go into those conferences knowing, like, what are your biggest pain points, and be clear with people. Hey, this is what I'm trying to figure out. Do you know anyone who,
Okay, so you've been on the road for a long time doing a whole bunch of these Fired Up Summits back to back. Like, it seems like every time I talk to you, you're like, I'm here. I'm like, whoa. But you're doing these Fired Up Summits, trying to engage franchisees and get them doing a whole bunch of stuff. What would you say is the number one tip you give to a franchisee when they're going to a franchise company conference, in order for them to be able to break down the walls, break the ice, so they can go in there and just say, all right, let's make it happen, not be shy,
Well, I think I'd start with introspection. Like, again, just being clear before you go because I think there's a lot of ego. There's a lot, people come in and they have this ego about, like, what people are going to think about them. But letting your guard down a little bit is how you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So, you know what, though? I think that it's time to wrap it up.
Is it?
As fun as this has been, I think it's time to go be awesome.
Okay, we're going to do it at the camera?
Yes, we
Here we
are.
go.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go be awesome!